You are watching the Bling Sisters Live. I'm Silver Shells.
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
And we are
the
Bling
Sisters.
And I was just watching our new countdown clock. We made a few changes around here since we've been back from Baton Rouge. It is July 1st, Thursday, and Cindy and I were down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were guests of Henry Turner Jr. at the Soul Food Fest, and I had a great time. We made lots of friends, Kelton and Judith,
Henry,
Latanya.
Latanya.
Oh my gosh, it was a
Glenn Lee
fabulous
Mellerby.
trip.
Glenn Lee.
The weather, it rained.
Yeah.
It was sunny.
Ross Wayne.
It was muggy and windy all at the same time.
Yeah.
All at the same time. I danced in the rain and the sunshine.
She did. I have video proof.
That is right. And we went fishing.
And she was rather productive of small, tiny fish.
Small, tiny fish.
Tiny fish.
Look for the red light in the upper left-hand corner. If it's on, we're live. And we have so far interviewed 116 people, including John Provost, and we wish him a speedy recovery. He's been under the weather. And we have had Vicki Guillory, Levi Lloyd, Tony Saunders, Bex Marshall, Eliza Niels, Carl Wyatt, Sal Valentino, and, of course, Henry Turner Jr. Upcoming guests we have are David Aguilar, Frank Greenfield, and Terry Haggerty. So if you like to see any of our past 116 chats and videos, you can go
www.blingsisters.live and just click on the Facebook Live tab, and you can go there and view many of our videos, our live videos, or you can go to our Facebook page and simply click on the live tab, and all of them are archived there.
Yes, you could go to the YouTube also.
You can also go to YouTube to our channel, to
so
the
we're
Bling
on
Sisters
YouTube.
Live channel.
So tonight we have guest number 117, and yes, that's pretty good. It's Lance Lopez, and he is currently in Nashville, Tennessee. He's from Shreveport, and he is a singer, songwriter, producer, and teacher. So he teaches students. So we would like to say welcome to Lance Lopez.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming
Shelley,
on our
Cindy,
show.
thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. Such an honor to be here.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness.
Yeah, we were just down there in that area, and we were talking about the weather. Okay. Stuff's good. All right. So you said it's raining down there, which is unusual.
It's a little rainy today here in Nashville. Yeah, a little muggy, a little rainy, which is kind of nice sometimes in the summer. It cools things off, but then, then it tends to get a little muggy after. So there's, it's kind of it's part of living in the South.
Yep, part of living in the South. We get the dry and
that's
the dry
right.
heat.
That's right.
So you were born in Shreveport.
That's right.
And I heard you got a guitar at age 5. Now, were you a prodigy, or did you have a brother? How did you get interested at age 5 in guitars and music?
Well, it was interesting. Some of my first earliest memories. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
I can
hear you well. Yes.
Okay, great. One of my first earliest memories was, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but there was the Betamax video cassettes. This is kind of dating that era. Yeah. So my dad went and got me in the room. I don't know, I was playing with my toys or whatever. And he brought me in the living room and he sat me down in front of the TV set and he put on an old Betamax tape. And it was Elvis Presley.
Really? Okay.
It was the 68 comeback special, that Elvis did on TV, I guess, in 1968. And I didn't know that at the time, and I'd never seen anything like that at the time. And I just remember seeing, they were all kind of sitting in the round, like on this stage playing acoustic guitars and kind of singing what my first memories were of hearing rock and roll music. And so oddly enough, I was looking at the TV screen and I was watching Elvis Presley and these guys. And then I looked next to the TV screen and there's a framed picture of that same guy on TV and my dad together.
Really?
And so I went, wow, this is interesting, because there's my dad with that guy. I recognize this guy. And so he and my dad had been old friends and were Army buddies, and we're in the Army together. And so had a great friendship. And so basically it was like my dad, I guess, felt the need to introduce me to this. And so at that very moment forward, all I wanted to do was play guitar and do what those guys were doing, and we had a lot more connection to that. It was kind of sad. Elvis passed, a month before I was born.
Yeah.
So I never got to meet him. But so that was kind of what set me on the path, and so, my father wasn't a musician, but he was friends with one of the greatest there was. So he heavily supported me playing music. So from there on, it just, guitar was my life.
Did he get you lessons, or were you a natural?
So not really. It was interesting because in Shreveport at that time, all the kids around our neighborhood played guitar. There were so many kids that played guitar. At that time, we had a semi-local hero. His wife was from Shreveport, but Eddie Van Halen's wife was actually from Shreveport. And so there was a group of kids that all played guitar, and he was accessible to us because he was like, their lake house was in our neighborhood. So we almost claimed him as our own too. So therefore every kid in the neighborhood wanted to, in that era Eddie. In the 80s. Yeah, they were all trying to do that, And so what we would do is we would go to concerts when we were kids, and all the kids in the neighborhood and all the kids in town would go. We had a Coliseum in Shreveport, and all the kids would go every weekend to the shows. And so we would go up and watch whatever band was in town, and then we would all go home and mimic what we saw, and then we would all exchange ideas of what we thought we saw the guitar players doing. So that was kind of what it was, and then just listening to records, and emulating what, we heard on records, and what kids, what knowledge of each other we shared with each other.
Cool. So then at age 8, you got your first axe. That was interesting. So what did you do with your first axe? Chop wood? Uh-oh.
Is that a loaded? I feel like that's a loaded question.
Let me ask you a loaded question.
It's an actual, like, literally.
A real axe, right?
Like a real one. Like, not.
Why would
real?
I mean, why would that be a big monumental step in your life?
It's a type of guitar.
An axe is a guitar?
I think that's the nickname for a guitar, actually. It's what guitar players kind of.
Okay, how embarrassing.
Oh, for heck's sake.
I thought you were talking about a big axe, and I thought,
I don't know. No. I may have had one, like a small one for like camping trips.
That
probably,
would be a hatchet.
Well,
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that would be a hatchet.
There's that.
Yeah.
I guess
all right.
hatchet's different.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've got the types of axes cleared up, I actually got an electric guitar. Yeah. Well, it was funny because my dad gave me a guitar for under the Christmas tree, and it was kind of hidden back, and pulled it out after, I thought Christmas was over. And it was this acoustic guitar with these strings off the neck, like really high. It was really hard to play. And then he gave me this Chuck Berry record. It's called The Great 28. It was this big yellow and record. I'll never forget how it looked. And he said, if you learn all the songs on this album, I'll get you an electric guitar.
Wow.
So kind of the goal was to play electric guitar. I mean, acoustic was great, and it was a good, we kind of all figured, okay, we have to learn how to, play on acoustic guitars. That was kind of a known thing. But if I learned how to play like Chuck Berry, I could get one quicker, and on this very complicated, hard to play guitar. So it was quite the task. So it was kind of funny. My dad would stand at the record player with the needle and go, nope.
Now, what was your dad? He wanted it was like having your dad push you into medicine or something. You're going to be a guitar player. Listen, and so he knew you had talent. So were you playing by ear?
Yeah.
You were playing by ear?
I just had expressed so much interest in it. And it was, I think it was more kind of one of those things of, if we're going to get you a guitar, we really want you to, to play it, and to really spend time with it, and I did, and I wanted to, and I wanted to show that, to achieve the next level, which would be an electric guitar, was that. So once I was, dedicated to it and in it, I think that it kind of went both ways. I think my dedication to playing and wanting to be a guitar player, I think therefore, had my dad take it more serious and push me more,
So did you have a bunch of like garage bands? Did you play in your neighborhood?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was fun. It was, as a kid playing music. And recently I want to, kind of jump forward. Recently during the pandemic, I went back through all those albums that I played when I was a kid to kind of rediscover, why did I become a guitar? Like, what did I do when it was super fun and like, and had so much fun, like learning, let's go back and listen to those albums that I played with my first bands.
Yeah.
And it really was fun and brought back a lot of really cool memories, of childhood when it was just, let's just learn this song just to learn it and really have fun,
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, there was one. That's a good one. That took a couple of months to figure out on my own, So yeah, it was that, and all the, bands started really happening around the time when I was 12, we moved to Dallas.
Okay.
And so moving from, of course we were only 2.5 hours east of Dallas. So Dallas was only 2.5, 3 hours west, but it was such a huge culture shock.
Yeah.
It was this massive metropolis and this millions of people in this huge, big concrete city, whereas I'd been living in Louisiana, kind of in this, I don't want to say rural, but it was, it was kind of small townish kind of, we lived kind of out on, and what you think of when you think of Louisiana,
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a culture shock, but there was more accessibility to music and bands and other kids my age that played other instruments. Because like I said, in Shreveport growing up, it was mainly everybody played guitar.
Right.
So there was a lot of guitar players. So moving to Dallas, other kids played bass and drums and sang and did other things. So that's when the bands really began, happening as a kid. And so I went through all the phases of music that a kid would listen to. But, playing to kind of go into this, the blues became very apparent when I did move, almost immediately.
You felt it, yeah. It caught you.
That happened really rapidly when we moved to Dallas. I'd been playing with other kids, and they played, like I said, Eddie Van Halen was very accessible to us. So lots of kids were wanting to play very 80s style guitar because it was the 80s, And so I was drawn to players from the earlier generation that were basically blues players. I just didn't know it. Okay, and so kids would say, "Man, you play really bluesy, man." Like it was not a good thing. Man, you play bluesy. And I just said, man, I just play what I'm feeling naturally. And so I remember talking to my dad about it one day. I said, Dad, man, I'm going to play with these other kids and they're telling me I play bluesy. And so my dad introduced me to B.B. King. And he said this is like the greatest blues singer or whatever. I can't remember how exactly he put it. So when we moved to Dallas, I moved to Dallas with my mom. And as soon as I got there, I saw in the newspaper that B.B. King was playing. So I asked my mom, I said, I'm 12, and I asked my mom, will you take me to go see B.B. King? And she was like, absolutely, And so we went to see BB King. This was 2 weeks after moving to Dallas. And we go to this BB King concert. And when we get there, I'm looking around the concert, and it's at this amphitheater. It was called the Starplex Amphitheater in Dallas. And I'm there, and I'm looking around, and everybody has these T-shirts on that say SRV on them. And I'm looking at all these T-shirts, and I'm going, what does that mean? Like, why does everybody in the whole place have an SRV T-shirt? What is SR? I had no clue what it meant. I just kept seeing everybody, and I was like, what does that mean? And BB King came out and played, and I thought, wow, this is kind of early for BB King to play. And then after he finished his set, our local the radio DJ came out and introduced Stevie Ray Vaughan.
SRV.
And I was like, I had no clue like who Stevie Ray Vaughan was. I'd never heard of Stevie Ray Vaughan or seen Stevie Ray or heard his records. And so I was sitting on the 10th row center, 20 feet from the stage in the middle. And it was life-changing to see Stevie Ray Vaughan. It was his last hometown show a couple of months before he passed away. So that is what, and then BB King and Stevie Ray Vaughan jammed together. And that was like the first blues jam I ever witnessed, was watching those two guys play together. Wow. So it was at that moment, and it was just like this complete spiritual experience and life-changing moment where it was like, it's okay to play the blues. Like, I'm watching this happen right now. And it was life-changing.
Validation.
So from there on, it was like, I'm going to play the blues.
So we're going to then hear you play some blues. We have the video Hard Time Live.
At the Vintage Air 2015 Nitro Fest in San Antonio.
Yeah. All right.
Is that a blast from the past?
Is that a blast?
Yeah, that was a few years ago. Yeah. The good old Vintage Air Hot Rod Show.
All
nice.
Right. Well, let's roll it. Okay.
1, 2. Yeah, we'll go with that. No feedback. We can also roll some highs off that as well. 2, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Yeah.
You got the
Okay.
And we are back. It is Thursday, July 1st, 2021, and I am Silver Shells.
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
And you're watching
The
Bling
Bling Sisters.
This is our live interactive chat show, and we need to, what are we going to do?
What do we
Acknowledge
need to
some
do?
people.
Yes, let's
I'm sorry.
acknowledge Jill Crawford.
Can you hear us? Yes.
Jill Crawford is saying she's rocking it.
Crowbar,
So
my
she's hearing
darling
it.
one.
Pamela Little, hi, Lance.
So,
Who am I getting? We have a new system, so
we do.
tracking who's on there is a little different now.
So it used to just come through and we'd see everybody, but
At any rate,
okay.
Go ahead and give us a chat if you want to ask Lance a question
or say hi.
or say hi.
We are here, so you go right ahead. Carol Casey's watching. Hey, Carol.
Hey, Carol.
All right. Okay, so we've gotten through your younger years. You went professional at age 14, and then what happened? Did you start? You had people ask you to join them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of what happened. When I was a kid well, yeah, when I was a kid in New Orleans, my dad would take me out to jam with people and play with people, and then people would hire me to play with them.
Like
and
a session. Okay.
So yeah, and when I was a kid, that's what we did. And so in New Orleans, the bars never closed. So I would go out and play all night with like 3 different bands. I would go to a happy hour gig from like 5 to 8. And then I would leave from there and play like the regular gig from like 9 to 12. And then go to the after hour gig from like, 2 to 5. And then go home and then sleep for an hour. And then go and then sleep some more and study hall. So,
oh my gosh.
That's a lot of what it looked like sleeping at school, sadly. And and then eventually I just, I left school and went on the road as a sideman with blues guys. I was playing. We moved to Florida briefly, and then I was playing in clubs every night. And started playing. So we moved back to Dallas. Some friends of mine were sitting in at a club. There were bands. They asked me to come sit in at a club, and I went and sat in with a great blues artist, Lucky Peterson, who I later went on to work for many years. I went and sat in with Lucky's band, and when I did, I stepped off. As soon as I stepped off the stage, a guy came up and he was like, "Hey man, can you be in Atlanta in 2 days?" I was like, I gotta ask my dad. I don't know.
I'm only 14. Right?
I was like, well, at that time, I think I was like 16 or 17.
Okay.
I was 17. And so there began me going on a tour bus. I left school and was on a tour bus, and I was going to go to Berkeley. I had a band director. I was in the jazz ensemble in high school, and he was working on getting me into Berkeley School of Music in Boston. And I was going to do that, but, I was working on it, and then all of a sudden I found myself on a tour bus, and I was like, I'm on the road as a sideman. And so basically that was my education. And so I would go from one blues artist to the next, and or we'd be in one kind of review band backing many artists on one concert. So I got to play with a lot of very influential, legendary musicians at a young age. And I'm very grateful for that. I learned a whole lot doing that. So yeah, by the time I was 17, I was on a tour bus,
so what
from
was
there
your
on out.
best memory of touring on the bus?
I don't know. It was funny. I can remember one time in particular. I think we were in Memphis, Tennessee, and we were over here in Memphis, and Al Green, came on the bus, and everybody in the band was he had this beautiful white suit. He had all these beautiful diamonds and gold, and he was like glowing. He came on the bus, and I'm sitting on the bus like learning songs with my Walkman. I'm like playing my guitar, sitting on the tour bus, and they all were going, Reverend Green, Reverend Green. He was shaking everybody's hand, and I was like, he's a reverend? Like, what church does he preach at? And they were like, get off the bus. I had no clue who Al Green. I shook his hand. I was like, wow, he's a preacher.
Oh,
I had no clue who Al Green was. So it was just funny stuff like that. I got to not only discover, all the greats in blues and soul and jazz and R&B, but I got to meet them and like play with them.
Yeah.
So it was, that was, I cherish that very much. I got to be in the presence of a lot of really great influential musicians.
And then you started your own, you joined the band, Supersonic Music Machine.
Supersonic Blues Machine.
Yeah, Supersonic Blues Machine. Many years later, after putting out records on my own and playing with a whole, host of people. I started working with a producer in LA at the time, and we started working on my album, and then all of a sudden that kind of morphed into this this band project that was Supersonic Blues Machine that actually featured a lot of other. It's kind of like a guest guitarist kind of a thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just several years ago. That we did that.
You made a couple of nice albums and top 15 Billboard. Both albums,
we worked on those albums kind of in at the same time simultaneously as I was working on a studio record. So it began as me doing my last album, which was Tell the Truth.
Okay.
Was the title of the record. And so that's kind of how it began. We started out working on that album, and then it just morphed into this this project. All of a sudden, I got a call one day from the producer, and he said, I just got off the phone with Billy Gibbons, and from ZZ Top, who I grew up around. All those guys being in Texas,
right.
And spent a lot of my teenage years hanging out with Billy Gibbons, and then I'd open shows for ZZ Top. I'd toured with ZZ Top as an opener. And so, and this producer, Fabrizio Grossi,
right.
and Gibbons had worked together quite a bit. So that's kind of how it all just came about. We ended up all, forming this project, and then more guitar players just started getting involved, and other guest artists, and so and I was really proud of the work we did with those two records. So I was in between recording my album as well. So we did a record, and then I would work some on my album, and then we did another record, and then I finished my record. So it was kind of two Supersonic Blues Machines in the middle of me trying to complete one of my solo records.
Well, good. Right. Sounds like you were very busy.
Very busy.
It was very busy. Yeah.
So how busy are you today? What are you doing these days?
Well, these days I'm in Nashville. I've been in Nashville the last couple of years. This November will be 3 years. And, I took a year off when I got here to kind of recenter myself and kind of focus on my wellness and my health and everything. Yeah. And when we got ready to kind of go back full force, and we were getting ready to go back to Europe and do all the good blues festivals and everything else, a big giant deep freeze landed on the earth called COVID-19 and just shut it all down. So that kind of grinded us into a halt. So in that time I've been recording. I was living in a different house here in Nashville, and I started recording at home, and it was the first time that I'd started to make an album in the house I was living in. So we rented a great house in South Nashville near the Brentwood area. And it had all these great dimensions with these vaulted ceilings and everything. So, I got a recording set up, and I'd worked with a lot of friends of mine that were very famous, very successful hip hop and rap artists. And I know they were recording in apartments with a keyboard and a laptop and some headphones and a mic, and they were selling millions of records. So I thought, why can't we do that, here in this house? And we can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. So I'd started kind of working on the album with some friends that played on the last record that had studios here. And then I just ended up setting up in the house and just started working on an album. So I'm working with the producer, Joey Sykes, that was my songwriting partner with Supersonic Blues Machine.
Okay.
He wrote a lot of songs for Supersonic Blues Machine and a lot of songs for my last album. And Joey and I have been working together for years. And so he stepped in to help me produce the record. So we're actually still in the process of working on it. We've got a lot of great material that we've recorded. And so that's what's been happening lately. And then in the meantime, we've got out, we're getting back out and playing shows again. Thank goodness, it's like, wow, we get to go play live. So we've been back out in the last couple of months. I really played it safe. I had some friends that had gotten ill and family that had gotten ill. I got ill myself. So I was really trying to take it easy. And so now that everything seems like it's getting back and everything's opening back up, we started playing live again. So we're looking forward to Labor Day weekend. We're going back down to Texas. We got tour dates back in Texas again. We've got some dates surrounding, the Middle Tennessee, up in Kentucky. We got some dates in Indiana and East Tennessee. So we've got, some really cool shows that we're looking forward to doing. And then, the main plan is to finish this album, and getting the album finished and getting it released. So hopefully by that time, things will be a lot more open and we can get back out on the road on a larger scale,
Yeah. Are you having a lot of people surprise guest play on your new album? Like you're known for?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We did so much of that with Supersonic Blues Machine that I had kind of covered a lot of, played with a lot of the guys and that they were always my good friends. So not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many strong statements on this next album that I think we're kind of leaving it as it is now with just me. So there's, there may be a surprise here or there, but
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah. As for now,
no spoilers.
Mike
Tomaneo. Mike Tomaneo. I'm sorry I did that to your name. See you in Longview, Texas soon. Peace.
Longview, Texas.
Right on. We'll see you in Longview. Absolutely. Going home. That whole region is like my home area. So it's going to be really cool to go back and play some shows that I haven't played there in over 2 years, almost 3 years.
Well, are you going to play the song Crossroads? We have a video from June 2018. So is that one of your songs?
Absolutely. That version has inspired me so much that was Eric Clapton's arrangement of the old Robert Johnson song that he did with Cream. Mm-hmm. So we do our best to kind of hold true to Clapton's original arrangement that he did in 1968.
Cool. So
okay, well, I think we should roll it.
All right, let's go. Rolling.
Down to the crossroads.
that was a lovely snippet of Crossroads, Lance Lopez and Friends. I'm Silver Shells.
I'm Cindy Jenkins.
And we are
the
Bling
Sisters.
And you are watching our interactive chat show, the Bling Sisters Live. We've interviewed 116 people so far. We are interviewing number 117 tonight, Lance Lopez from Nashville, Tennessee. So once again, thank you for joining us, Lance. And
thank you so much for having me.
so what we're going to do now is just chat about the future plans, or
Cool.
where you see yourself maybe in 5 years, or
Yeah.
What is your 5-year plan, Lance?
yeah, exactly.
What is oh, well,
I'll take notes.
No, that's good advice for young people. Always tell them, because 5 years goes by so fast. Get a 5-year plan.
Get a 5.
Things change quickly. Yeah, I 5 years. Wow, I don't know. I'm just trying to take it a day at a time. Actually, really, that's my whole thing, is one day at a time. And I don't know. We're really looking forward to getting this album completed. That's kind of where we're at right now. And getting a solid lineup. On the road again, and getting back out and seeing everybody and seeing all of our good friends on the road, and getting back overseas and seeing all of our good dear friends and fans over in Europe and elsewhere.
Spain,
So
Russia,
that's what we're actually looking forward to doing again. Getting back out and doing some playing and doing some more recording, and seeing people. After this last year or so, it's just been with the kind of the isolation and not seeing anybody, and kind of being cut off from the public, and especially not being able to go out and play music.
And with the interaction,
it really,
yes,
the interaction, it really just kind of realized it really really solidified the point that without the audience, that's really what it's about. It's about the audience and sharing the music with the audience, and so that was really interesting. Like I said, I had a lot of rediscovery with my guitar, where I was able to, like I said before, dig in and go back to my childhood and kind of play a lot of the records that I did, with my first bands. But it also really made me realize how fortunate we are to get up and share our music with other people. And I think that's what it's all about. It's about sharing the music, and there's so many times I've been in music in a room with a great artist that moment in time will never be replicated.
Right.
I've seen, like I said before, like seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan play with B.B. King. I mean, that's a moment in history that'll never be replicated again. So those moments happen, every night in a venue with a great artist all over the world. So, those are special moments in the fabric of time that can't be replicated or captured again. So I'm looking forward to getting back and being a part of those moments again with other people.
Well said. Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I think we're winding down.
Are we winding down
We
already?
are winding down. It
So
just seems
quick.
like just got here.
I know.
But
We just got here.
At any rate, tell us a little bit about. I thought one thing when I saw the title of this song, "Down to One Bar." I thought one thing, especially with the opening pool table scene, and then I realized when you were singing the song, it meant something totally different. What was the inspiration for this song?
It's funny because Joey Sykes, who I was talking about earlier, who's producing the new album with me, he wrote that song about some pretty crazy times, in LA, in the Sunset Strip and Hollywood, and partying at the Rainbow. And I used to be able to be found if you couldn't find me, if I was in LA, you just went down to the Sunset Strip and found me at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. It's usually where I was hole up at. And so it's a funny story about, a guy, me, that, makes a list of all the bars, I guess, in town. You could say the Sunset Strip, maybe. Probably. I'm just, I could be, possibly. and making a list of all the bars on a certain area, Sunset Strip, and and then trying to go to each bar, in one night, and kind of ended badly, kind of maybe. It didn't turn out the way it kind of, envisioned it to. So,
but it made for a great song.
It made for a great song, though. Yes, absolutely. Most tragic things do make for great songs. So.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, we don't know.
Or fortunately,
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think it's time.
All right. I want to say I love you to my granddaughter Sabrina and my great grandson Josiah. My heart. I love you guys.
Yeah, I got grandkids.
All of our friends. Yeah, you got 6.
Yeah, I got 6 of them. Yeah, go home.
Well, yeah,
I'm kidding. They were here today. They're great kids. Little Ari,
That's awesome.
She screams for grandma. She loves me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They're wonderful kids.
They are all. We love our kids. All right, so everybody, become a donor.
An organ donor.
Be safe. Be sane.
That's what I've got right here. This green bracelet means I'm an organ donor.
Right on.
Oh, really? Good for you.
Yeah.
I am too.
Whoops.
Become an organ donor. And let's see, what else?
What else?
It's the first day of July.
I think we should say goodnight.
I think we should. Okay,
Okay.
I know I'm rambling on. Good night.
We're rambling on.
Thank you so much, Lance Lopez.
Bye, everybody.
For coming
Thank
on our
you
show.
so much.
All right.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone.
Good night. See
we
you.
love you.
Bye.
See you in 2 Thursdays, 3.
3?
I'll be out of town.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we will. Bye.
Bye.